Hey guys, now I have a bit of a confession to make. I've never actually cried during a sad moment in an animated movie. Yeah, this is true. I mean, for reals. But nowadays, as I get older, I do tend to feel some emotion when I go back and watch some of these movies. Or maybe there was once a time I did feel a little bit of emotion when watching a movie as a kid. Like, here's the thing. I watched Bambi a lot as a kid. Like, it was one of the few movies I saw along with, any other Disney movie I think you remember. And I'm sure you all know that one scene in Bambi that crushes everyone to this day. Bambi's mother's death. Oh, God. But honestly, I remember once mentioning this to my mom, like, how come I never cried from that movie? I'm like, and she says, oh, you were young, you didn't understand. And honestly, you could say this, I'm like, how could you not have cried from anything? Do you have no soul or something? I'm like, no, I don't. You see, as some of you probably don't already know, I am on the autism spectrum. And well, according to, some people, the reason why people on the autism spectrum don't cry from sad moments in a movie, they I guess, just don't know maybe what's going on, or just don't really, have feelings. I mean, not in that way. I mean, I have feelings. Yeah. I mean, for real. It's like, I guess they just don't feel the same way as other humans do. I mean, at least that's what I think my teacher said to me once. So, anyways, today I'm going to be talking about some sad movie moments I'm sure a lot of you felt like crying over. And I only pick movies I have seen because what the heck? There's no way in heck I'm going to pick movies I have not seen because honestly, I don't know what the heck happens in them, or I've not seen them yet, but yet I've already been spoiled by them, and I don't really care because I probably don't even plan on watching it anytime soon, but anyways, why don't we get started? Okay, so first up is actually a sad moment that no one ever brings up on their saddest moments list. Like, what? Like, for reals. I mean, as a kid, I do remember actually watching this movie, and, pretty much, I actually do remember first witnessing this sad moment on the website of this well-known franchise. Yeah, this is a well-known franchise. Oh, and I bet you're probably asking, Sumner, what well-known franchise are you talking about? Well, I'm sure you're all familiar with the Alvin the Chipmunks franchise. Yeah. Now, as I have said in probably past videos, I mentioned I used to be an Alvin the Chipmunks fan. Like, I was obsessed with them. And it all just happened thanks to those live-action movies. But, come on. I bet most of us, after we discovered the live-action movies, we discovered the cartoon and wanted to watch it for ourselves. And that's exactly what I did. In fact, the first 2 DVDs I got of the animated show were The Chipmunk Adventure, which was the movie based around the series, and one of the Alvin the Chipmunks Go to the Movie DVDs. Anyways, now I'm going to be talking about the sad moment from the Chipmunk Adventure, and I'm sure you can all guess by now what it is, if you've seen the movie yourself. Now, I'm sure we all are familiar with the scene where the Chipettes are, in their hot air balloon, and they just escaped from from Egypt because Brittany was about to be in an arranged marriage with a prince. And of course, as a gift, Brittany got apparently a penguin, which she did not like apparently, but Eleanor took a liking to it. So yeah. And basically, after a really weird song number that completely went over my head as a kid, Eleanor ends up sneaking the baby penguin on board their balloon. And, oh my goodness. Now, Now, by now, I think I'm bringing back some memories you probably wish you haven't. You probably wish you've forgotten again. Yeah, I'm sure you all remember that the sad and heart-wrenching My Mother song from the movie. In fact, even way before I saw the movie, I would oftentimes visit the Alvin and the Chipmunks website, which was, I think, back in 2007 when the first movie came out. And, well, I remember they had like a little article thing for the Chipmunk Adventure. And, you know, they had also like little pictures where they said you could play a video. And, you know, like it would play a scene from the movie and whatnot. And one of them happened to be the My Mother scene, which didn't really get to me. Up until I finally decided to look at the movie myself. And let me tell ya, I never actually once cried during this scene. But one thing that almost got me, was probably where we get that flashback of the baby penguin with its mother. Like, I mean, like, really, I'm like, oh no. But luckily, I managed to keep my eyes dry for the remainder of that scene. So, yeah. And also, I remember I'll never forget finding out how you know, how when you watch this scene now, it makes you think of what happened to the Chibettes, you know, in the past. Now, if you don't know, in fact, I was taught about this from watching a review of the movie. Now, in the cartoon, in the 80s show, they actually had some backstory episodes, one for the Chipmunks and one for the Chibettes. Now, the Chibettes' backstory is basically, they were raised in an orphanage, and, I guess they managed, and it was run by, you know, one of those mean orphanage owners. You know, seriously, why does every show or movie gotta have one orphanage person? In fact, why is a person who hates kids working in an orphanage in the first place? If you don't like kids, don't get a job at an orphanage. But anyways, so pretty much, I guess after being locked up in a basement or something, you know, Brittany, Jeanette, and Eleanor escape and, you know, try making it into a career. Make it into a career, but they seem to almost, you know, fail, but in the end, it all works out okay. So yeah, I mean, for reals. In fact, even afterwards, I was so curious about it that I ended up visiting the Alvin and the Chipmunks Munkopedia, you know, page and reading about both the Chipmunk story and the Chibette story episode. I'm like, wow. But I will say, it was sure as heck something to be learning about. Now, the next movie on this list I'm pretty sure is something, you know, that got everyone. It is probably considered one of the most saddest moments Pixar's ever made. And if you're wondering, or you probably already guessed it, that's right, I'm talking about Married Life from Up. Yep, the one where we see Carl and Ellie, you know, living their lives together. And, you know, there's a lot of dark moments here and there, but there's also some happy moments. But of course, who could forget what happens, what happens in life? You know, like someday we're all gonna die. Yeah, for reals. But yeah. And, well, the first time I actually saw this movie was when I was visiting my grandmother and, you know, and grandfather, and he ended up renting that movie for us, and we were watching it that night. Although I think I failed to notice my mom was crying her eyes out at that first scene. I even remember, I guess, after coming back from school from that break, I remember telling it to my teacher, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, but it really makes grown-ups cry when the wife dies." And yeah, I mean, yeah, so true. So true. But yeah, I mean, it is so depressing. And although, like everything else on this list, I never once cried. But yeah, I will agree, it is sad. Because, you know, a lot of sad stuff has happened. But yeah. And now the next one on the list is the one where Sully says goodbye to Boo in Monsters Inc. So yeah, I did have this movie, when I was growing up. Like, it was one of the few movies I had on VHS and, would watch constantly. Although, I haven't watched it. It's been a while since I last watched it, so I don't think I remember a lot. But I mean, what I do remember is that in the movie, Sully and Mike, are like trying to hide this human child that got out of her room, and oh boy, I mean, shenanigans ensue until the ending when Sully has to say goodbye. Bye, and of course her door ends up getting destroyed. I've never actually cried, but yet I can see why it's so sad. I mean, having to lose someone, having to having to get rid of, having to now take back, that one thing to that place where they belong. It can be heart-wrenching, especially when you've grown close to that person. I mean, yeah, it's very depressing, for sure. And yeah, I know, in the end, they fix Boo's door and Sully sees her again, which I know shed a lot of happy tears afterwards. Like, seriously, Pixar? Don't you think we've had enough tears coming out of our eyes already? Like, oh my God, you are too good at this. I mean, you are too good at making a lot of us people cry, except me. But yeah. And now we come to Toy Story 3. Now I bet you're wondering, which scene are you talking about? Is it the one where Andy plays with his toys for the last time, or the incinerator? Well, I'm afraid that spot goes to the incinerator. Now, I did see this movie, a few years back at the drive-in movie theater. Like, ever done that? It's really fun. Highly recommend it. So yeah, now, I also never cried from this scene, but my God. I mean, because then again, I was like, I mean, this movie came out in like 2010, I think, and I would have been around 10 years old at the time and still too young to understand what was dark. Yeah, and like, I didn't even understand how dark it was until, like, I guess maybe a year later, and never realizing how sad this was. But yeah, I assure you, this is sad. Like, I mean, this is characters we've grown up to love, accepting their death, accepting their demise. Like, what? Like, that's just dark as hell. Like, can you believe that? Like, I literally can't. I mean, then again, I haven't seen anyone cry. Or maybe I just failed to notice it when watching that movie. But yeah. Oh, but here's a funny story though. I actually once found a video where these two guys actually pranked their family to watching Toy Story 3, and they actually ended up, changing the ending to Toy Story with having the toys actually die by just editing out the actual ending. And oh my God, I think their grandmother was so confused, like, what? That's it? Like, it was a hilarious YouTube video. Like, I mean, wow, what a great way to prank their parents, but probably a little dark also. But, yeah. Anyways, moving on. Okay, next movie on this list, taking a break from Pixar and moving on to Don Bluth. Yep, that's right. Now, I didn't really watch a lot of I don't think I watched any of Don Bluth's stuff growing up because, I was more of a Disney person, and I was mostly like, just into, more stuff. I was mostly just into, Disney because, that was what it was. But yeah, but I didn't actually manage to once watched the very first Land Before Time movie. And when did that happen? Well, a few years ago, back in middle school, when it was our last day, and since there was nothing else to do, my teacher decided we should put on a movie. Now, her first suggestion was The Lion King, but my friend, who, well, does not like that movie because of Mufasa's death. Which, yeah, who could blame her? I mean, I bet anybody doesn't like that part because of that. But pretty much, we instead ended up watching The Land Before Time. So, yeah. So, basically, halfway through the movie, everything's good. But then suddenly we get to the scene where the main character, Littlefoot, is watching his mother fight a giant T-Rex. And I'm like, oh my. I'm like, okay, well. And in my head I'm thinking, well, let's hope she's okay afterwards. Boy, was I so wrong, because, oh my god, next thing you know, there's rain. The scene, it's all dark and rainy, and Littlefoot's mother's on the ground, like, she's weak, she's, like, beaten up, and, oh my god, Littlefoot's crying, and he's begging her to get up, and I'm like, oh no, this isn't what I think it is. And before she could even say, I guess, where the Great Valley is, she dies, like, and then you just hear Littlefoot saying, Mother? Mother? No. And then my friend who was, like, sitting in front of me says, it's just like the Lion King. I'm like, oh, wow. So, yeah, I must say. Now, honestly, I didn't cry either, but I was, I guess, feeling a little bit of some emotion during that time. Then again, it was my first time viewing that movie because I had never seen it, and, well, I must say, I can't believe it. Like, I just witnessed a dinosaur that died a million years ago that I felt emotions for at the age of 14. Like, for real. I was 14 when I saw that movie. Like, for reals. But, yes. Anyways, moving on. Okay, next is actually from Pixar. Once again, surprise, surprise. Psh. I mean, come on, are there any other movies, outside of Disney that have sad moments? Psh, or Pixar? Nope. All right. So, I'm sure we're all familiar with one of their recent modern films. And that is the film Coco. Oh boy. So, I think the one scene I've decided to talk about is, well, probably where Miguel decides to, sing the Remember Me song for her to remember her father. Now, I didn't actually see this movie when it came out, in theaters, but I did manage to watch it, one Friday back in high school, because, it was Friday, and what the heck. Like, my teacher thought, let's watch a movie. So, yeah. And also, I was pretty lucky to actually catch the ending of the film, because apparently, while we were watching it halfway through class, my teacher got a call from my mother saying my stepfather was going to be late because he had a doctor's appointment that day. So I was asked to stay in the classroom. So, yeah. And if you're wondering, yeah, my stepdad was supposed to pick me up that day. So, yeah, so I managed to catch the ending. And oh my god, my teacher, she was bawling. Like, wow. And I mean, I get it. I mean, it's sad. I mean, there are some people, that we remember in life who've probably passed on. And I mean, I can relate. I mean, I know a few people who have sadly passed on. Although some of them were I probably don't remember much, but have a little bit of some memories of them because I would have been around 3 or 4. But yeah. So, yeah. I will say, sad movie overall. Okay, now this last moment, now I want to say, how do some people find this sad? Because honestly, when I was watching this movie for the first time, I already knew right away they were going to be okay. And what movie am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the very first SpongeBob movie from 2004, where we get to the scene where SpongeBob and Patrick are in Shell City and they're being dried up by a heat lamp. and they die. Now, I have to ask, how is that part of the movie sad? I mean, I actually kind of knew they were going to be okay. I mean, well, then again, I guess thinking about it, these are characters, we've grown up to love, and, and they've always, been there for each other, and we loved watching them every Saturday morning, like seeing them on wacky adventures, and they are like the best of friends, and they died together. But yeah, honestly, I never cried from this scene, but I have to ask, did any of you cry or not from watching this scene? I mean, just out of curiosity. But I decided to include it on here anyway, because again, I'm only picking movies I have seen, but yeah. So anyways, so that's all I got for today, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.